All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you some examples of how you can potentially predict your next customer. It's kind of clickbaity, but the idea is that you're going to use triggers or some information that you have about your existing target audience to identify people who have the problem that you can solve before they're actually searching for a solution. So obvious benefits of this is, you're going to be ahead of the game. People are probably not going to be shopping for competitors at this point in time. And really the easiest way to do it is to work with the saved search feature in LinkedIn. Anybody can implement this. You can even do this on the free account. And it's something that you absolutely should be doing if you're doing any type of sales. There's no reason not to. It gives you insight into people who fit your target audience and who are becoming part of it. So, you have that time context built in, and it's almost always a perfect time to reach out to these people, assuming you're able to kind of identify some type of trigger or context that is relevant to the problem that you can solve. So specifically what I'm going to cover in this video is, the basic version, the save search that you can do on the free account. And then we're going to cover the LinkedIn, like Sales Navigator stuff. Again, it's going to be going into more detail inside the course, but I'll show you how that's different and how we can set up the save search in Sales Nav. And then the kind of big thing, the unique thing that we do that is totally different than what I see a lot of people doing is building a custom faceted search and some of the implications and benefits of doing that. So it's kind of going to the next level and what you can pull from that if you want to spend a little bit more time coming up with very specific saved searches. So again, it's one of the most underrated things on LinkedIn. I don't see very many people at all doing it. Again, it's crazy to me because LinkedIn has so much data. It's basically showing you who you should be reaching out to, who's most likely to be looking for what you have to offer anyway. So to get started, again, we're using this example of a company who's an agency in New York on Madison Avenue, but also has developed a custom software tool for agencies to be able to do approvals. So I think what makes most sense is to do the example of them and their agency services in this basic version, and then the approval tool in the Sales Nav. And the reason being is because they work best with co-working spaces. So the owners of co-working spaces have a fairly small niche anyway. Not too small. It's great to be very specific. But if you are able to identify a title or an industry that is very niche, very unique, that's where you can probably get away with using the basic version of LinkedIn and still get some pretty good results. So the way you actually come up with this is, it seems easy, just type in this case, shared office and keywords and get a couple filters and hit save search. But what you really want to be able to do is do your research ahead of time. For somebody like myself who isn't very familiar, I was typing in words like co-working office spaces, shared space, all these things, and it was giving me almost no results. So if you work backwards from some of the companies that you've already, either you've already worked with, or you look at competitors and people that have left reviews on their sites like G2 Crowd, those are the people you want to look at their profiles and see what keywords they're using in their profile that's consistent over and over again. So if you find the consistency there, then you can start to identify the search that you want to build that's going to, again, show you those people in advance of them reaching out. So now we have a couple thousand people here, and to be able to create a safe search, it's super easy. All you have to do, hit this create search alert button, and it's actually going to send Max an email every week showing him the new people that are now part of this search. So it's amazing. You literally get an email once a week. You can start your Monday morning or Sunday evening off with a few personalized messages, and we'll show you how to automate the messaging and outreach portion of this in an upcoming video. But at this stage, we're just kind of identifying who we should be reaching out to. So as far as the filters go, this I don't really need to go into too much detail. You can it's self-explanatory. The ones that I primarily use are location and then industry. So if you can narrow this down, people had mentioned that they were in the hospitality industry. So if I found that this was going to be returning me too many people and I want to be even more specific with it, maybe only getting a handful each week, then I would add hospitality here and be a little bit more specific. So that's it. I would emphasize finding out the correct industry, the very specific industry that the people are in that you're going after, try and be specific about location, and then use keywords along with a title. So that's what's going to return the most specific results for you. If you get under 1,000, then you start to be on the right track. If you're up over, in this case, again, it's a small niche, so I'm not really too worried about it being over 1,000. But if he mentioned, this is too many people, that's what I would do. I'd add owner, founder, and you can do the Boolean stuff. I'm not going to be too technical in this, but you could do something like founder or owner or CEO. And that's going to just add to the specificity of this search. So that's it. That's literally, we have this set up, and that's the basic version. Okay, so the key to that one is the research. So you definitely want to go back and find some existing customers and what's unique about their profile. Now we start to get into the LinkedIn Sales Nav that gives us a little bit more options. So if I wanted to, I could go over here and just click search with Sales Nav. A lot of people are interested in why they should be using this program. To be honest, almost nobody uses it to its full extent. So as the only reason you should get it is if you're willing to put in the work to set it up correctly. And the main benefit is that it's going to give you additional context to when and why you should be reaching out to these people and how you can build your audience that way. So in Max's original case here, when we're talking about shared office space, when those people fit his criteria, it's almost always that they're going to be a brand new company. They just started, they just added shared office to their profile. They maybe just, it's brand new. In this case, when you're building a saved search, it doesn't need to be brand new. These could be people that change jobs. They can be people that just posted on LinkedIn. They could be all kinds of different context. So the job changes is the most obvious one. And that's what I tend to lean on, because it's usually an indicator of a whole bunch of changes going on in that company. For example, if somebody hires a new COO, they're probably going to change up processes, which means they're going to buy more software or hire new consultants. If there's a new salesperson, it means they're probably going to add a seat, and maybe the requirements for the software that they're using are different because their team is growing. If they hire engineers, then same thing. It doesn't always have to be software either. It could be once they do a specific hire, then they need sales training, or maybe they need a different service. So those indicators are huge. In this case, we're going to do the approval version. So what we're probably looking for here, which is great, is company headcount. So a lot of the benefit or a lot of the value that you can pull out of these saved searches is just in that thinking about the scenario, the critical thinking about who's going to fit your target audience at what time and based on what trigger. So what I would imagine is when companies are jumping up from 1 to 10 to 1150, that's when they're starting to take on so many clients that they're going to need some type of process built in for approvals. So I'm actually going to switch this. We're going to do industries, marketing, and advertising. There's so many of these companies that we might even be specific to New York, an area, because that's where this company is operating out of. So we can do greater New York City when this comes up. New York City. And then it's up to you who you want to target in terms of title. So keep in mind that the way that this works is if I put owner here, it's not necessarily going to be returning me the saved search somebody with a brand new company. It's somebody who newly fits this criteria. So nobody jumps into 11 to 50 company unless they acquired it. So a lot of times if you become the owner, then that just means that you jumped up in headcount. And of course, LinkedIn knows exactly how many employees are there because they're all registered on LinkedIn already. So we could just use this as an example. The nice about Sales Nav is you can also do a couple more things like experience. So depending on the product that or service, it's likely going to resonate to a generation. So this is another kind of hack, I would say. I use this all the time, but think about it in terms of who's most likely to be open-minded to what you're offering. Because a lot of times it's either the new people who are open-minded that maybe are kind of new in their career, or maybe it's the people that have experience that are at least have been around for a few years, or it could be the people that are more inclined. So if you were selling, for example, like a more sales orientated thing that's a little bit more old school. It's based around relationships and things that people that have been in the industry for a long time value, then you may want to filter this more to people that have been around more than 10 years in this career. So think about it that way as well. The experience one is big. You can use that to your benefit a lot, actually. So I'll let you kind of play around with the different filters, but again, I just wanted to show you that that's an example of something that you absolutely should be doing. So we're going to do save search here. We're just going to say new approval leads. If you didn't watch the previous video, this is a software program for approvals, AdWords approval specifically for agencies. So that's what we're setting up here. We're going to do weekly as well. You can do daily on the Sales Navigator version. And I don't know, yeah, you can have a bunch of them. So that's where we're at with Sales Nav. And then the last one is going to be faceted search use cases. So what this means is that you can build a saved search based on specific companies. So last time what we did was we just assumed that any company that fit this criteria was going to be a fit, right? But instead, what we've done internally is taken the limitations of the Sales Navigator platform. And the reason this came about is if you go to the account results and you're searching for accounts based on the technology that's installed or the headcount growth in certain departments, the tough thing is if you go from here and you select all, you can't view the current employees of more than the 25 companies listed on this first page. So we felt that was a major limitation to the prospecting that we were hoping to do. And instead what we did was built inside some of the automation that we're going to show you in future videos, the ability to scrape a company list, whether it be from LinkedIn or other publications like Fortune 5000 or Fortune 1000 or recent funding lists, things like that, and then be able to build what LinkedIn calls a faceted search. So what that looks like in practice is something like this. So this is an example of companies that have raised in the last 6 months, and we don't have all of them here, but you can get an idea. There's a few main benefits to it, and the use cases that I found most relevant are as follows. So the past employees one, think about this in terms of if you have a product that has a fairly substantial customer list, you probably, as opposed to cold calling, as opposed to reaching out blind, the likelihood of somebody that is already familiar with your product and maybe has already used it before, maybe already implemented it before, introducing that to the new team that they're about to work on or work with is got to be way higher than somebody who doesn't know you at all, right? So that's the idea there is you can build a faceted search list of companies that are already existing clients and then look for people who are the past employees of your clients. So you can reach out to those people and say, hey, I know you're in the marketing department. You may have had some experience working with our tool before. Congratulations on your new role. Let me know if you have time to connect. Would love to hear about like the new marketing stack that you're working with. And then you get an intro, and that's how you progress the conversation forward. Another one is external lists, which I kind of vaguely mentioned, but this is a big one because LinkedIn company filters aren't going to give you all the criteria that you want to find your perfect customer list. So in every example, it's totally different, but you want to be looking for the most precise context that, again, identifies somebody as a company that needs your help the most. So I find it way more effective to go for company first. You have company context, whether that be growth or new location or, there's so many things that companies could be, experiencing that identify them as a potential good fit for you. And to be able to identify that first and then build the faceted search that says like, okay, now I found my top 100, top 200, whatever it is by identifying those companies and being very specific about it. It could even be, maybe you run your list through a tool that is identifying who's advertising on Google or who's, maybe you're an SEO company and you want to know inside your area the small businesses that have terrible backlinks or there's infinite suggestions, but it just makes sure it's relevant to you. And then if you build that company list, you can actually save that specifically within LinkedIn. So it's super, super powerful. If you're a larger company, a larger sales organization, the other thing that you could be doing is setting up an old pipeline job postings faceted search. So what that means is by creating this URL, you can actually leverage that same company list in the job search as well. So if you've identified your top 100 companies, you could say something like, okay, I want to make sure I know when these people are hiring. Again, it's added context, another reason to reach out. Why I have the idea of past pipeline is because if you want to reinitiate the conversation, maybe you're selling slightly larger deals and people don't take action all the time, you can build this faceted search of people that kind of dropped off inside your pipeline and then create a saved job search and be notified, get an email every time that one of the companies that's in your individual pipeline is now hiring again. It could just be, again, another reason to reach out and say, hey, it looks like you guys are still growing. That's amazing. In fact, I noticed that you're hiring for this position and we have some resources around this. Like, would love to walk you through it and show you some examples, kind of thing, right? It's just you're being a value add as opposed to always being a salesperson. So using those 3 saved searches, there's a little, even if you're not subscribed to this, you got to have a save. Like, there's no reason not to. I would highly encourage you to at least create a basic save search, be getting that email. You're going to be way ahead of the game. Instead of waiting for people to be calling you constantly, you can be reaching out to these new people that fit your save search. And in future videos, we're going to show you how to do that semi-automatically so that it not only is personalized, but it's going to be reaching out to the right people. So hopefully this was valuable. As always, reach out to me if you guys have questions or ideas about what's potentially possible. This faceted search thing is an internal tool. Again, we just notified or identified like the limitations of the Sales Navigator platform. So if you have a list of companies, reach out to me and we can see if we can build you a specific save search. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Have a good day.